When I first watched Taxi Driver, my take on it was I thought that because him being a vet is obviously a really big impact on the topic, right? And he has that if you don't want to get super spoiled, then click off because it's a fucking great movie. But what I thought that Taxi Driver was about was somebody who has fallen into total worthlessness by their own, whether because of trauma or by their own volition, or maybe a combination of the two. He finds himself in this state of where he feels that he is worthless, that he is not living for his purpose, right? And he has these ideals of things that he could have, like the beautiful woman and like that sort of stuff, right? But the sort of bizarre bit of heroism to the character is the fact that, or let me put it this way, let me back up, right? When he tries to assassinate the politician, Palatine, right? When I first watched that, I didn't take that as him actually trying to assassinate the guy. What I thought it was that like that was the man that the woman that he was into respected the most, and he wanted to prove that he was better than him to himself, so that he could have the confidence to go and do what he wanted to do when he shoots all the pedophiles, right? That was how I first read it. It was like a man proving himself against other men, and like that was an interesting dynamic to that movie to me. But ever since I thought that, I went and I looked at what other people thought, and apparently I'm completely fucking wrong, and he's supposed to just be an insane person. But I thought that he was actually a little bit more sane. He was just broken. And it was almost like him being a vet's a major impact on this, where clearly he has PTSD, right? Where it almost seems like whatever he did before, it's implied that he has demons from that part of his life, or like things that he regrets, or maybe he failed, you know what I mean? Like something. So like he could prove to himself that he could do it with that. You know what I mean? Like even like when he's talking to like the Secret Service guy, and he's all like, I could be one of you guys. You know what I mean? Like he's trying to prove to himself that he has the balls or like the machismo to do it. I don't know. Where it's almost like he's somebody who at one point in his life was very much like, I don't mean to say like a doer, but like the guy that would go the extra mile, right? And then when he sees that injustice with like the vulnerable girl, Jodie Foster's character, right? What? This fucking song again. There we go. We're gonna go Wings at Kinnereth. What, like it struck to me, like when people are like, oh, like he's in love with Jodie Foster's character, I don't think that's what it is. I think it's like he's trying to like redeem himself. You know what I mean? Like for his past mistakes, like he's trying to put himself through torment so that he can rest more easily, which is like what the end of the movie kind of implies. Thoughts on the walking contradiction scene? I think that supports what I think that movie's about. Is because on the surface he seems like a bad guy. Really. You know what I mean? Like in the sense of like what he does is wrong, but his motivations for it seem not even pure, but his motivations seem rooted in a perverse sort of good. I don't know. I think that's kind of what the walking contradiction thing is about. Is like when she even says whatever, partly fiction, right? It's like, is this just the story that he's telling himself to make himself a hero, or is he actually one? Because like, by the end of the movie, it doesn't seem like he's on the road to continue violence. Like it seems like it's kind of out of his system, so it implies that it isn't necessarily fiction. The movie does a great job of playing with whether or not he is bad, and I think that's, I don't know, it's just like, apparently I have an incel take in saying that Travis Bickle is not a wholly bad character. That's the thing, is like, I don't think that he's an anti-hero. He's more of just a broken actual hero. I could be wrong, but I mean, that's kind of what I read it as. And it's also like, you can even relate it to like the Vietnam War and all, like all the vets coming back and nobody like giving them credit for what they went through. Really. A tragic hero. Yes, he's a tragic hero, I would say. I mean, anecdotally speaking, one person who's a pro in a competitive game said that playing the game literally kept him out of gang violence and similar stuff that constantly happened at school. Yeah, exactly. I really think that, like, the funny thing about the whole violent video games thing is like, oh, it makes people violent. I think that violent nature is always there. And I think that like that's even the movies that we're talking about right now are that's kind of a major topic in them. I think that sort of need for conflict and to root out the enemy is something that is hardwired into humans. And I think that a lot of the psychological struggles that people face today are because they have no means of doing such. And I mean, like, it's even, like, more demoralizing when you think of, like, the police, right? Where it's like, you think about how, like, obviously nobody fucking respects the police. Everyone thinks they're fucking clowns. And it's like, okay, then who's fucking doing the good shit? Oh, nobody. Oh, you know, like, a ton of people in power in our country are just pedophiles. Great. Who's gonna do anything about it? Nobody. Guess I should play Valorant. You know what I mean? Like, I really think that in a weird way, gaming satisfies that inherent need to fight and rid the world of what one perceives as evil, not even if that's necessarily evil. I think that games satisfy that itch in a lot of people, and you could argue that's a bad thing. It's almost like, right now it sounds like I'm arguing that violent video games actually don't cause violence, they prevent it, and that's a bad thing. But you know what I'm trying to say. Games are popular all over, not only in the US, where you have funky cops, let's call it. Most of the world is funky cops, though, David. That's what I'm saying, is like the cop thing in America is, like, no fucking different. But most of the world, I mean, you can fucking bribe cops to get away with shit. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like there's... You know what I mean? Like, there's gotta be some sort of baked-in, like, evolutionary lizard brain thing that people are like, there is bad around me, I must rid the world of it, but I cannot. You know what I mean? I really think that there is probably nothing more psychologically torturous than knowing that there is bad being done to good people and that you can do nothing about it, and the people that can do things about it will choose to do nothing about it. It's the Don Quixote effect. Absolutely it is. Absolutely it is. Where it's like, when you can see the problem right in front of you but do nothing about it, you invent problems that you can conquer because you need to be conquering them. Not being able to help those you love sucks. I would say that there's probably, like, I couldn't imagine a worse torture for a just person than exactly that. My book is this is actually, everything that we've talked about so far is stuff that I talk about in the book that I'm writing. Where I talk about, it's about, like, the source of that sort of dissonant sadness that people seem to feel a lot in the modern world. I talk particularly about my generation, because I like, people I grew up with, I talk to them a lot about, like, a lot of the topics that I talk about in the video, and the inability to do anything about bad things is a major topic in that book, where, like, when a lot of the time that I've seen people, including myself actually, like, when I would say that when I was depressed when I was younger, it was because of this. And I think that it was for a lot of my friends. That, like, it was that sudden, I think a lot of the time it probably happens around the time that you're 15, 16, 17, where you start to see horrible things happen and people get away. Oh my god, not this song right now. We don't need this song right now. You start to see horrible things happen and people get away with them. And then you realize that you would face far worse consequences for actually doing anything about the problem. And I think that is very depressing. Almost unavoidably depressing. You know what I mean? Like, it's a sort of powerlessness that your brain is not designed to handle, I think. Or it's supposed to... It's like... Let me put it this way. Being that powerless is so bad for you that your brain is designed to make it as uncomfortable as possible so that you are not that powerless. But the thing is that the world is a way where you can't do that. You know what I mean? Like journalists that get assassinated for speaking out against the government? Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's like that from a small scale to a large scale. You know what I mean? Like, you can think of countless examples of it. But I think that is... I think that that's a lot of what drives people to depression nowadays, at least. I feel like that's why a lot of people join the military, is sort of guttural resolution to need to fix. Dude, you're so fucking right. That's why that was so interesting to me for the longest time, and why it still remains to be interesting to me. Is because it's like, it's a surefire way of fucking throwing yourself at a problem and being like, I did something, even if you didn't actually. But it gives you, I'm sure that it would give you a sort of psychological, if not spiritual, peace of mind.